Welcome back to our channel where we share updates and untold stories about Catherine, Princess of Wales, and her royal family. Today we bring you some news. Buckingham confirms the date of Lady Louise's wedding that shocked everyone. As of late, Lady Louise Windsor, the eldest child of the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, has been receiving a greater amount of attention from the media and the general public. This has returned attention to aspects of her private life that she had purposefully kept hidden from the public view up to this point in time. The nature of her connection with a fellow student from the University of St. Andrews has been the subject of speculation and observation as a result of photographs and descriptions provided by eyewitnesses featuring the two of them together. According to the media, he is known as Felix Silva Clamp, and he has been seen providing consistent and unobtrusive assistance at many personal and sports occasions. As a result, their connection has come under increased examination, drawing attention to the implications it may have for a younger generation of royals whose perceptions of public duty and private choice are shifting in the 21st century. The story occurs exactly on the cusp of the transition between the old and the new. In contrast to the glitzy and hectic public life that comes with being a senior working royal lady, Louise was raised in a family that places a higher priority on spending time alone and maintaining a certain amount of common sense. This upbringing is indicative of a more subdued and regulated manner in which the Windsor family lives their lives. This component of family life helps individuals develop personally maintain healthy relationships and engage in normal social interactions while reducing their exposure to the public. In light of this, the purported relationship raises questions that are largely concerned with matters of individual preference and the expectations of society, rather than concerns that are of constitutional consequence. It is essential to contextualize each individual within familial, institutional, and social frameworks in order to comprehend the public's interest in this connection. It is also necessary to outline the formative influences that have shaped Lady Louise's perspective, and it is necessary to investigate how the ongoing conflict between love and duty has redirected attention toward royal unions across generations. During the time that Lady Louise was staying at St. Andrews, a very significant event occurred that marked the beginning of the claimed romance. A Scottish university was where she pursued her education in English. Their relationship was rather quiet at first, but it eventually became one of the most followed royal romances of our time. Prince William and Catherine Middleton met at St. Andrews, which is where they originally spent their time together. People sometimes refer to the environment of a university as evidence that higher education may be a location where individuals can engage with one another without the continual attention of media outlets situated in London. This makes it possible for them to have shared activities and moments of regular social life that are less manufactured than previous royal gatherings. There was not a significant ceremony to celebrate Lady Louise's admission into the royal family as there is for major royal engagements, such as graduations. She participated in activities that are typical of first-year college students, such as living in student housing, joining campus clubs, and attending classes. This method of doing things was consistent with the long-standing public declarations that Prince Edward and Duchess Sophie have made about their parenting philosophy, which places a high importance on education independence and a private family life. They did not want to deprive their children of the opportunity to learn about their royal heritage. Rather, they wanted to provide them with the freedom to make their own decisions and a little bit of privacy so that they could mature without having to be concerned about public responsibilities that had already been established. Allegedly, Lady Louise came into contact with Felix via various extracurricular activities and collegiate groups. Reports indicate that they became friends due to the fact that they both had a passion for horseback riding, which has been an important part of her life for a very long time. Conversations about horses riding techniques and preparation for competitions were a natural area for individuals to congregate inside the University Equestrian Club. These conversations have the potential to develop into friendships that last a lifetime. Some people have characterized the early interactions as being informal and focused on activities that they participated in together. These activities include helping each other out at events, working together with tack and equipment, and the kind of camaraderie that develops when people work together in a sporting environment. Many individuals who saw it claim that over the course of time, the relationship developed into a bond that was non-showy, easy, and personal for all parties involved. Those who have seen them on campus have attested to the fact that their bond is developing organically and without any premeditated fanfare. According to witnesses, the two individuals engaged in their academic pursuits together went across the courts of the institution and engaged in lengthy private chats. These behaviors are indicative of a genuine and constant closeness between the two of them, as opposed to a relationship that was fabricated for the cameras. Some people get the impression that Lady Louise is at her most relaxed when she is in the company of Felix. The way in which Felix thinks about her family's past is a theme that appears often in literature. According to the reports, he does not consider her as a symbol of status, but rather as an equal and a peer. In the event that this position was accurate, it would have resulted in a relationship that was founded on mutual respect rather than show, with private activities that were shared taking precedence over activities that were symbolic or ceremonial. Felix is the person who has shown the greatest public support for Lady Louise in relation to her passion for carriage driving, which is both a sport and a pastime that has a significant place in her life narrative. There have been instances in which he has been seen cheering her on during carriage driving contests, such as the National Carriage Driving Championships. The photographs and the descriptions of eyewitnesses emphasize a low-key and unobtrusive presence, which consists of standing around the perimeter of the arena offering balanced applause and providing continual spiritual support rather than attempting to attract notice. The individuals who attend his activities often report that he is there at all times and does not stand out in any manner. There have been some individuals who have even drawn parallels between this sort of unassuming commitment and the persistent personal support that Queen Elizabeth II appreciated in Prince Philip. This was an example of a domestic union that prioritized assistance and technical expertise above public display of skill. People automatically get interested in Felix himself. There have been several reports concerning his background, but not all of them have been confirmed by official authorities because of the private nature of the people involved. Still, press reports have put together a picture that matches the world Lady Louise lives in. Felix was born in London in 2004 and is the son of Jonathan Clamp, who is claimed to have a history in politics, and Kendall Clamp, who is supposed to be a mental health expert. Some stories suggest ties to older landed families in Scotland, while other elements point to a more cosmopolitan background, including time spent in Melbourne, Australia. This kind of childhood might have led to a more international view, influenced by a variety of cultural experiences rather than just growing up with inherited luxury. Felix is said to be studying environmental sciences at St. Andrews, which means he is alongside other students who care about sustainability, conservation, and looking after the environment. Media stories have spoken on how he has helped with local environmental projects, such as helping to restore habitats, cleaning up the town, and working with groups who care about responsible land use. If that sort of activity is appropriately shown, it shows a preference for practical hands-on work on initiatives that benefit the public rather than activism that seeks recognition. People who know him say he has a peaceful, thoughtful, and grounded personality. He likes outdoor activities and physical work such as assisting with horses and equipment, maintaining gear, and engaging in quiet local businesses rather than being sociable. A point that comes up a lot is that they both were involved in school theater. Reports say that both of them were in a student play, which suggests that they have more in common than just their love of horses. This gives them a natural place to get to know one another better. Rehearsal rooms and performances on stage require individuals to work together, trust each other, and depend on each other. They also make it so that people are renowned for their work and presence instead of their family names. The relationship may stay private or become more official, but the overall picture painted by the news reports is of a partnership that values substance, shared goals, and mutual support over showmanship. This is in line with the values that Lady Louise's parents have often emphasized. Looking at the things that have influenced Lady Louise's views on life and relationships shows a number of essential threads. The Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh's parenting style and the strong influence of her grandpa Prince Philip are two of the most important ones. People have often said that Edward and Sophie's marriage is simple family-oriented and centered on stability. The way they let their kids act in public on purpose less than senior royals shows that they want to provide them as regular a childhood as possible. They decided not to give their kids the HRH prefix and instead call them Lady Louise instead of Princess Louise to cut down on ceremonial duties and provide room for a more normal upbringing. Lady Louise's early life experiences strengthened her parents' instincts to protect her and make her life normal. Louise was born too early in November 2003 when the placenta suddenly detached from her body. She and her mother needed immediate medical attention. Louise weighed just 4 pounds and 9 ounces at birth and spent time in specialized neonatal care. She also had an eye problem called esotropia, which is a kind of strabismus when she was a toddler. It needed surgery to fix. The first surgery in 2006 did not fix the condition completely, but the second one in 2013 did. These times of vulnerability, which required parental care, likely made Edward and Sophie even more determined to keep their kids out of the public eye and to build their lives around secrecy and stability. Lady Louise was very affected by Prince Philip in a clear and direct way. He accomplished a lot to make carriage driving more popular and teach others how to do it in the UK. He also often took part as a talented practical enthusiast. He taught his granddaughter not just how to do things technically, but also how to be calm and disciplined while doing a sport that values skill and focus above showmanship. He was regularly at local events where he gave helpful advice and support. After he died, Lady Louise got his horses and his favorite 4-wheeled carriage. This was a gift that had both personal and symbolic meaning. Driving his carriage at memorial ceremonies required both mechanical expertise and emotional calm, showing that she could do a public duty while yet being tied to private memories. Prince Philip's legacy practical skills, quiet determination, and a penchant for a measured public presence still has a big impact on how she balances seclusion and publicity. To understand why people are interested in Lady Louise and Felix, we need to put their narrative in the context of a wider history of royal relationships, where private love and public duty have frequently been at odds with one another. Historically, royal marriages served as tools of statecraft facilitating alliances to ensure dynastic continuation, geographical gain, or diplomatic relations. Romantic feelings often took a back seat to political needs. The 20th century, on the other hand, saw major changes. When King Edward VIII gave up his throne in 1936 to marry Wallis Simpson, an American socialite who had been married twice before it caused a constitutional crisis and made the conflict between personal desire and public duty very clear. That event created a standard by which later royal marriages have been assessed and showed how a monarch's personal decision may have big effects on the public and institutions. Other examples from the middle of the century show how hard it is to find this equilibrium. In the 1950s, Princess Margaret's romance with Group Captain Peter Townsend ended because she seemed to put duty ahead of her own pleasure, which was formed by the social and constitutional expectations of the day. Prince Charles and Lady Diana Spencer's marriage in 1981 was once seen as a fairy tale, but it fell apart under constant public attention and psychological stress. Their breakup and Diana's untimely death showed how much public attention can hurt people. The marriage of Prince William and Catherine Middleton in 2011, on the other hand, was a new kind of royal wedding. It showed the monarchy as more human, based on a story of collaboration and long-term personal devotion that started in college. Other family members have shown different ways to live in public and get married, giving modern royals a lot of options. People generally think that Zara Phillips and Mike Tyndall's marriage is a good example of a private, real royal marriage. People have praised their simple wedding and mostly quiet existence for putting family and privacy first. On the other hand, Prince Harry's marriage to Meghan Markle in 2018 brought to light the problems that may happen when old-fashioned ways of doing things clash with the needs of a multicultural, technologically connected world. The couple's experiences, intense media scrutiny, disagreements over privacy, and broader discussions about race and representation have raised long-lasting challenges about how royals might maintain their independence within a set institutional framework. When you look at it this way, the claimed connection between Lady Louise and Felix is part of a process of changing what royal life is like for those who are not in the inner circle of state-facing responsibility. Their relationship seems to be similar to the family model that the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh and people like the Tyndalls, like seclusion, compatibility, and a way of life that is not always in the spotlight. This relationship may not signify a break from royal tradition, but rather a subtle evolution. Members of the House of Windsor, unencumbered by daily public responsibilities, are cultivating personal lives that harmonize affection and dignity while avoiding constitutional obligations. These kinds of relationships show that love and responsibility may live together when there is enough private space and public duties are in line with one's function in the institution. In the event that the relationship were to progress into formal engagement, the process would most likely include the incorporation of both traditional ceremonies and contemporary modifications. When the British royal family was getting married in the past, the ceremony was guided by rules and conventions that were designed to ensure the continuation of the dynasty. The Royal Marriages Act of 1772 stipulated that in order for descendants of King George II to marry, they were required to get permission from the king. Only the first 6 individuals in line for the throne were required to get permission from the king as a result of the succession to the Crown Act of 2013, which included significant changes to this requirement. In accordance with the laws that are now in effect, Lady Louise is exempt from that specific limitation since she is farther down the social hierarchy. The king's formal approval is not required for her to choose a partner, which gives her a higher degree of autonomy in this regard. Other factors that might have an impact on any engagement include conventional conventions about appearance titles and public presentation. There are a number of obligations and advantages that come along with being a high-ranking royal, and Edward and Sophie decided against giving their children the HRH prefix because they wanted to allow space for a more regular upbringing for their children. An engagement with Lady Louise would not automatically bring the same level of formality and attention as a betrothal with a closer heir. This choice might be considered a modification of the social and institutional milieu around probable engagements. The contemporary royal tradition, which is growing more personal and straightforward, suggests that any such engagement would most likely be announced in a short official statement that emphasizes the delight of the family as well as the happiness of the individual recipient. Photo calls and public interviews, which are usual at senior royal events, would probably be less frequent or adjusted to meet the couple's comfort level. For example, the pair may participate in community or sporting activities that are directly connected to their passions. It is common for the rituals around engagement rings and proposals to have several interpretations. There have been several instances in which older royal spouses have worn jewelry as a means of demonstrating that things have not changed and to honor the past. Take, for instance, the sapphire and diamond ring that Princess Diana wore, which Prince William presented to Catherine as a gift. In recent years, there has been a trend toward marrying with bespoke rings that have both private and public significance. There is a good chance that the fact that Lady Louise is engaged would demonstrate that her family places a high importance on quiet dignity. The selection of a ring would most likely be based on the significance it has for the individual, rather than for the purpose of displaying it. As the norms around privacy, press regulation, and social media continue to evolve, it is essential for both the general public and the media to have a clear understanding of how they would respond to any relationship of this kind. There has been a shift in how we perceive, discuss, and handle relationships as a result of the 21st century. It just takes a few hours for private events to become public spectacles, thanks to the use of tabloid journalism, the dissemination of news on social media, and the continuous flow of digital news cycles. While this is going on, an increasing number of individuals are discussing the ethical problems that arise from journalistic intrusion, as well as the emotional toll that comes with frequent exposure. In recent years, members of the royal family have been more willing to go to court or use carefully selected words in social media in order to control tales about their personal lives. This has been the case in both public and private statements. Through silence, limited comment, or carefully regulated exposure, Lady Louise and her family will choose the level of control that they want to exercise. Not only will this have an impact on how other people see her relationship, but it will also have an effect on the ongoing debate on the boundary between public curiosity and private life. It is not the case that everyone has the same sentiments on these sorts of alliances. A number of individuals are of the opinion that the fact that a monarch may date a person who does not come from the top class is a positive sign of development and relatability. Others believe that any romantic connection that involves a notable person is a legitimate matter that should be of interest to the general public. There will be a variety of responses from various organizations. Privacy campaigners will advocate for the protection and silence of young people, while more sensationalist news websites will go all out to get the story. Social networks make things even more troublesome, since they can rapidly broadcast both support and criticism, placing pressure on individuals who are not used to being the focus of public conversation. This makes the situation much more difficult to bear. In the event that this relationship were to establish itself inside families and institutions, it would also need practical preparation about responsibilities and expectations. Concerns over how to introduce a spouse into charity, civic, or sporting contexts, what sorts of public appearances would be appropriate, and how a couple may balance their private life with their ceremonial commitments are issues that even royals who do not have official employment have to deal with. Frequently, these decisions are the result of discussions between the desires of each person and the actions that the family has traditionally taken. That they are conscious of how things seem, that they have privacy, and that they are healthy. The narrative of Lady Louise and Felix, regardless of whether it concludes with an engagement or remains a private chapter, is an indication of a larger shift in how people think about and experience royal weddings. It is possible that the most powerful marriages in the modern monarchy are not those that are founded on public ceremonies, but rather those that are founded on continual companionship, shared objectives, and the ability to protect one's privacy from constant observation. People consider Felix to be a friend who discreetly upholds the family values of measured public presence and relational depth that Lady Louise exemplifies. These values include practical competence, a desire for solitude, and a focus on substance rather than spectacle. It is clear from the narrative that they provided that the duration of the monarchy would be contingent not only on the quiet stability of personal relationships but also on the pomp and spectacle of public occasions. It is possible that people's perceptions of royal life in the 21st century will shift if members of the House of Windsor continue to emphasize the need for being genuine and maintaining high levels of confidentiality. For a great number of individuals who look to public figures as instances of relationships, these sorts of unions provide a fresh model to follow. They demonstrate how to be friends with someone who shares your interests, cares about you, and maintains the confidentiality of their personal life, as opposed to engaging in an extravagant display of statecraft or theatrical gestures. Regardless of the outcome of the case, it prompts us to contemplate the ways in which one might achieve personal pleasure while still living in an institution. An easy way for Lady Louise to establish a connection that is built on mutual respect and common interests is because of her childhood, which was characterized by her parents' wish for her to be normal, her early health difficulties, and the continual direction of a well-known family member. The background that Felix claims to have, which includes education in environmental sciences, practical volunteering, and a disposition that is geared toward quiet competence, seems to be compatible with that atmosphere. It is a modern illustration of how royal legacy and regular life can coexist, and their relationship is such an example. It serves as a reminder that the human emotions that drive love, caring, and friendship transcend beyond ranks and rituals, and that the contemporary monarchy will continue to be changed by both the public acts that it takes and the private connections that it maintains with its members over the course of several generations. Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts, and goodbye for the time being.